When you two moved, did you lot start quickly or did it take a little bit of time?
Took me, I think, about 32 minutes, to be honest, and I got scored on my debut.
You idiot! You took me a bit.
Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with me, Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards. It's the end of the week. We've had Carabao Cup football in midweek, and we've got another very happy Alan Shearer this morning after Newcastle beat Manchester City.
Boom!
Hold on. Wait, before you go, you got battered in the first half. What are you talking about, Alan? Anyway, sorry, guys. Sorry to interrupt you.
And you got battered in the second half, Micah. Down the hill, I told you about down the hill. Your boys couldn't handle it. Pep was on about moaning about kicking them. You're not allowed to tackle Man City now. What's going on?
We need to sort it out, honest to God. It's pathetic now. You're a professional outfit and you've got a slope on your pitch.
He's throwing everything at you here.
And you couldn't run up it.
I have to tell people we have a little group chat for this podcast when we discuss what we're going to talk about, etc. And I don't know, Alan. I just get the sense that you might have had one or two watching the game last night, because you're still on your golf trip in Marbella.
Last day we were in a little bar. It was hard, just us in there, just 8 of us lads who were on the golf trip in the bar, and there it is.
Are they all Toon fans?
All Newcastle fans, all of them, yeah. And at the minute, there's only 2 up. So, you can imagine it was a pretty late night and celebrating.
I got that sense. It's obviously the League Cup's, not the most major trophy that teams compete for, but for Newcastle, any trophy would be huge at the moment, wouldn't it? A Bill's step in the right direction.
Oh, huge. Well, they did well in the tournament, in the competition last year. They got to the final, didn't they? Where Man United beat them pretty convincingly at Wembley, and it was a chance. I mean, Eddie made 10 changes, I think it was last night, from the team that put 8 past Sheffield United at the weekend. So, and we were a little bit concerned because a lot of the players hadn't played for a while, but I just thought they were absolutely superb, particularly second half. I mean, Man City were all over Newcastle first half. They couldn't get near them, albeit Newcastle probably had the best chance with a minute to go just before the break. Jacob Murphy. But then second half, he made a couple of changes, took a couple of the youngsters off and put Bruno on and Gordon. And Man City couldn't live with the intensity and they couldn't live with the pressure. And they found it... And they found it very difficult, hence Pep moaning after the game about being kicked. What's going on, Micah? You can't challenge your boys now, can we not?
You're not allowed to kick Manchester City players these days.
Oh,
no. Bit of a crisis this for City, Micah. Do you think that Pep's time's up? He's out?
to be fair with Man City, they're normally so strong in this competition. Obviously not last year, but the seasons before that, they won it 4 years in a row, didn't they? So it's pretty disappointing because, the fringe players, and I thought Calvin Phillips did really well, considering he's not played a lot of football. But Oscar Bob, the forward, the left footer for Man City, he was outstanding. His close control, his weight of pass, everything about his game, he was buzzing and lovely little touches round the corner. But the problem is now you're probably not going to see a lot of these players again. The League Cup sort of keeps their season alive a little bit. And now, because Man City is so consistent in the league team, you're probably not going to see any more of them players, which is a shame.
You mentioned Calvin Phillips there. Did you see Pep's quote saying that he couldn't do with Calvin Phillips what Bielsa did with him at Leeds and can't get the best out of him? But Phillips is obviously, he wanted to stay in the summer, but it's kind of peculiar comment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's... I don't think he means it into the extent in which people are taking it. I just believe... Because let's have it right. When Calvin came to Man City, he got injured. He got back and then he got injured again. So when people are talking about his tactics and his style of play, he's not been able to implement it with Calvin because he's not had that much time on the training pitch. But it was strange to hear him say that, and I just feel a little bit sorry for him.
I get the feeling all's not well with that relationship. I don't know, I'm just guessing, but judging by what he's said in the past and what he said about him last night, you just get the feeling all's not rosy with those two.
It's just been difficult, Al, hasn't it? Because Rodri's the best defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
And he's rarely misses a game. It's an absolute killer for Phillips. And what did they go and do? They bring in Kovacic. And now you've got Mateus Nunes. So it just always feels like some people who coming into that position have shone straight away, and he's took a little bit more time. But I still have faith that he can do a good job for Man City if he's given the minutes.
You've got to repeat the final in the next round, Alan.
Yeah, tough one.
What? Tough one? You weren't saying that last night in the group. What are you on about?
Yeah. That was Guinness o'clock.
To be honest, I can't remember what I said, Michael.
You're on the old San Miguel's.
I said Old Trafford and you said no problem.
Yeah, something like that with a few different words in there.
He's very different Alan Shearer in the morning, isn't he? The morning after the night before.
What a reward for a great result and performance, getting Man United away in the next round. But as the boys have just said this morning, if we're going to win it, we have to beat the best. So
there's the Sean Dyche derby as well, isn't there? Everton Burnley. West Ham Arsenal, that's a pretty decent tie as well. But the one that caught my eye, Mansfield versus Port Vale. One of those. No, come on, League 2 Mansfield and League 1 Port Vale. One of those sides will be in the quarter final. But I would imagine both of them were a little bit disappointed with the draw, because although you'd fancy, both teams will fancy the chances perhaps of getting through. But they won a big boy, wouldn't they? I would have thought.
You'd think so, wouldn't you, Al? But you're thinking we've got one step further, so you're going to get a big boy in the next round anyway. It gives you that much chance. You probably get a little bit more money as well. So play your cards right, and you're into the next round.
Huge reward for them, isn't there? It's a big enough incentive anyway, but to get to get through would be unbelievable, because they're probably going to get one of the big boys as well, isn't it? And TV cameras would be there, I guess. So financially, for one of them, it's going to be massive.
It'll be a big game. That.
Did any of you ever win the League Cup?
I didn't know.
You won't be surprised to know I got beaten in the Zenith Data Systems Cup at Wembley against Forest.
Really?
For Southampton.
No, I can't remember. I don't think I played in a final either. I did, definitely might have lost in a semi. Can't remember. So we didn't win it. Didn't win anything, did we, Al? Really, not between us, not much.
No, exactly. Did you win it, Micah?
I think I've got a trophy at home, but I don't think I played. Honestly, we win a League Cup so many, you just forget. I think I have won a League Cup, but I think I played in the early rounds. I don't think I played in the latter.
You think?
I did play in the earlier rounds, but I didn't play at Wembley and all that.
Oh, you got left out in the big one again.
Yeah, I got binned again.
Micah, weren't you supposed to be in Miami this week, weren't you?
Yes!
But obviously you got COVID. Is that why you didn't go in the end? Because what was it for, CBS?
On the weekend, on the Monday afternoon, I was flying out to New York. There was a show called Kicking It. So it's like a show stroke podcast. And then on the Wednesday, I was flying from New York to Miami to film the Cup. The Cup. What's
the Cup? What's that?
I'm trying.
What's that competition? The Cup.
Does that mean you win 5 cups if you get it? So you 5 winners' medals.
The US Cup is the equivalent of the FA Cup in America.
Okay.
So we call it the US Cup. Let's call it the US Cup. And I was going to be pitchside there with Messi. Miami were in the final. I think we mentioned that briefly last week as well. And I was going to be pitchside, but COVID stopped it. So, yeah, didn't get round to going.
Well, Messi got injured anyway, didn't he? He just didn't play in that particular game, did he?
And he wasn't pitchside, was he?
No, exactly.
apparently the reason he didn't go pitch side because you weren't there, Micah. He said if Micah's not there, he's not doing it.
Big Meeks has that effect on people, you know what I mean?
And for your information, if ever you do go over there, it's called the US Open Cup.
Good job you've done your fucking homework anyway, Micah.
The US Open Cup, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It sounds like golf.
I know. Talking of golf, how's your golf been, Alan? And your little trip there, played well, or?
It's been all right. Yeah, we're about to play Finca, Courtesan, of course, where the Solheim was last weekend. So we're playing that this afternoon, and then heading home.
Has Luke Donald called you up yet? Late shout?
Haven't had. Surprisingly enough, he looked at my swing and he never called me up.
Alan said it's been okay. What do you mean? That means you played shit, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
It means I'm getting 31, 32 points. Not enough.
For those that don't know, that is a Stableford format where you get points per hole and bogeys. And was it 1 point for bogey, 2 for par, 3 for birdie, 4 for an eagle? Was it still the case?
That's it.
Played golf for about 10 years.
That's it.
I want to get onto something a tad more serious. Well, much more serious, really. The online abuse towards Victor Osimhen, which has come from his own football club, and I think it was their TikTok account, poking fun at their own player, calling him coconut head, doing high pitched voices over footage of him missing a penalty for Napoli. It must have been pretty distressing for him.
This is a guy that has won the league for them with all his goals. I mean, even just when you're reading it out there, his own club are mocking him. It's like, it is incredible what has gone on over there. It's just bizarre, and oh my God, I mean, no wonder he's blooming angry.
It was weird because there were 2 videos. So there was one where basically mocking him missing a penalty, and then there was one where you said, Gary, when he was basically calling him coconut head. And it's staggering, to be honest. And you know what the worst thing about this is? And Osimhen is in such high regard within Italy and in Naples and the team he plays for. So if he's getting treated like this way, imagine what the normal person in the street is getting treated like. And that is the more worrying thing for me. He should never have to deal with that. Some people will come out and say it's not being racist, but basically covering his body in a coconut suggests to me that that's the way it was intended. It's very difficult for me to speak on the racism in Italy because when I was there, I didn't feel nothing. It was amazing.
You didn't feel that side of things there? In
Florence, it was absolutely amazing. That made me feel welcome. But again, is that because I was a player for the team that everyone loved in the city, so they treated me a little bit differently?
Well, they love their football in Napoli as well. But this hasn't even come from fans. I mean, we're kind of used to it, seeing various incidents. I mean, in Spain, there've been a number, particularly pointed at Vinicius Junior, and we've seen aspects all across Europe in terms of fans towards players. But this is kind of, I don't know whether they're trying to be funny or clever or just plain nasty.
Where does it go from here, though, Gary? What does he do? I mean, I know he scored, and I know he didn't celebrate. What does he do now? Where does he go? How does it move on?
I would imagine it would be very almost untenable, wouldn't it? His position at Napoli. I mean, I saw images of him arriving yesterday with the rest of the team, and he did greet the Napoli coach, but he kind of ignored one or two of the players. But I just don't know. I mean, whoever was in charge of like Napoli's social media, but surely that sort of thing goes through a few people before you put something out like that. I mean, it was beyond belief, really, wasn't it?
It's just, again, it goes down to education, doesn't it? I mean, some people the person who put out that sort of video on TikTok might not even think that's offensive. That is one of the problems, and people always say, oh, well, we've had enough of educating people, but people sometimes don't know what's right and what's wrong. It's only because if you actually look on the video, it had loads of likes and loads of shares and everything. So until one person said, hold on, this is wrong, it was still on there. They only took it down afterwards. It's not like they put it up for 30 seconds and took it down. It was on for quite a while, which was quite shameful. And it's so sad that we constantly have these conversations about race and, whether it's women in football or whatever the topic may be. And people always keep saying, keep the politics out of football. But we literally try to, but we can't because the politics always creeps in to football.
Politics is in every walk of life in some way at some stage, and that's when when people say to you stick to football and stuff. That's why it's even in football there's plenty of politics. That's for sure. Where does he go from here? What and also
Chelsea.
Chelsea. I think Newcastle. Would they've got you've got two strikers, Alan, Isak and obviously Callum Wilson. You need another one, do you?
Well, I don't think it would do any harm. When Man United won their treble, they had 4, if you remember rightly. So it if he wants a bit of love, then there's St James's Park.
I remember watching him play a couple of seasons ago when Leicester were in the Europa League and they had 2 games against Napoli and Victor Osimhen was absolutely outstanding and we were saying at the time, who is this? He's going to be like a really top player and he's been brilliant there the last 2 seasons. He'll be sought after.
Definitely won't be a shortage of clubs, top clubs, that big clubs that will want him and be willing to pay an absolute fortune for him. So absolutely have so many options.
I mean, if you look across Europe as well, Real Madrid desperately short of a striker at present, although Mbappé is probably their target in the summer. Having said that, Mbappe's not really a 9, and Arsenal as well have been linked with him. He would be a great addition to any of those clubs, wouldn't he? And you mentioned Chelsea as well, who's Chelsea are due to spend a few quid on a player. They haven't bought one for a while.
It'd be absolutely marvellous anywhere, no matter what. I watched him a lot in the Champions League, covered the Champions League last year. His movement, really good on crosses, can hold up the ball, can finish.
He's rapid as well.
Rapid, yeah. He started the season badly, but he still scored the other day. I don't understand why they've sort of turned on him, which is strange. And a couple of the fans are now starting to turn on him. But this player is one of the best strikers. I was saying Arsenal should have bought him in the summer. It might have cost a little bit too much then. His price might have gone down a little bit if they want to do a deal. But yeah, he's a top player.
What can football do as a whole about this sort of thing? I mean, it's there's always a story comes up, isn't there, every few weeks or every few months.
It's so hard, Gary and Al. I'm talking as a black man because we've been trying to do so many different things for years, and it's become a little bit more difficult now, I would say, because of social media, and it sort of glorifies idiots. And I think things have improved. I really do. I feel like things are getting definitely better, but sometimes you can't change the way people think. You can try to, and you can do everything you can, and all these people behind the scenes are trying to, but sometimes the world doesn't think the same. And no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, they'll always get idiots who think a certain way. All we can do is try to be the best that we can be. Move it on, be better people, have better lessons where we can talk about things, educate people, and try and move forward in the right direction. But it's a very hard because I've been having these conversations since I made my debut all them years, 17, 18 years ago.
Must get tiresome.
It does. It gets tiresome. It gets boring. It almost gets like degrading to a certain aspect as well, because you're just like, oh, like something's happened here. Like, let's get a correspondent on Micah's been through it. Let's ask him. Well, I don't have the answers. I've literally tried to be the best I could be and help people the best I can. But then, you know what the problem has come into this now? People are saying, oh, he's woke.
Oh, yeah. I do get that occasionally.
and that is such a disrespect, because just because you're trying to help a situation or highlight a situation or push a situation forward, now you've become woke. I just don't understand. Now the people make themselves the victim. So what could you possibly do with that?
Whenever they describe you as being woke, just ask them what that means. And they can never explain it properly, other than in a positive way, which being woke probably is most of the time. The only one thing I would say, and trying to look for some kind of positive out of this in terms of football, because football gets a lot of grief for this, but I would say look at football internally, look at football within dressing rooms and football itself, not supporters. I mean, most supporters are fine, but you're always going to get some racists, some nasty people, etc. But when you look in a dressing room at a football club, you will see 20 players around there from all over the world, different skin colours, different religious beliefs, different backgrounds, come all over the world, and they have a harmony within a dressing room that the rest of, indeed, life, the rest of people could actually learn a great deal from. Because I don't think footballers ever sit in a dressing room and look round at the colour of someone's skin. I think they look round and think, he's a really good player. He's brilliant on the right wing. He can dribble. He can shoot. He can save us in a certain situation. No one looks at the colour of someone's skin and makes a judgment. And I think in that sense that football does a lot of good. And on that slightly more positive note, let's take a break. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with me, Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards. When I say welcome back, I suppose it's only a few seconds. I'm not sure any of us have been anywhere. I don't know why I always say that, but it seems like the right thing to say. Let's look ahead a little bit at the weekend. There's a bumper set of fixtures on the Saturday, which we always like doing Match of the Day. I think you might be both on this Saturday, aren't you?
Indeed we are.
Well, that's good, because we're not spending enough time together. So I suppose the pick of the games, perhaps, on Saturday's Spurs-Liverpool. Liverpool, quite interesting this season. They beat Leicester 3-1, came back from behind. I think it's about the fifth time this season they've gone one down, but managed to beat Leicester. But we're concentrating on the league. It's all about the Championship and getting up. We're not too worried about that. The Carabao Cup this season. But they've started the season well. They're on the longest unbeaten run of, I think, any Premier League club. I'm just trying to think where we had them in our predictions at the start of the season. I think we all had them in the top four.
We all had them in the top four, didn't we?
Third for me. I had them in third.
I just believed if they sorted out their midfield, they would always be a force again.
Well, talking about sorting out, the Szoboszlai is getting rave reviews. I've been very impressed with him when he played. Player. Liverpool fans are talking about the new Steven Gerrard.
Ooh.
You know, we sometimes say it takes players time to settle. Not this guy. He looks the real deal straight away. I mean, everything about his game, midfielder. What you need is a midfielder, energy, and he looks a class act. I know it's very early, but what we're seeing from him, I think, I mean, it's probably too early to be mentioning him in the same breath as Steven Gerrard. But what a great start he's had to his career at Liverpool.
You say it's early, but the important thing is to get a good early start at a new club, isn't it? We often see players, sometimes takes them 6 months or a year to adjust. Right. So if you can start quickly, that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
when you two moved, did you lot start quickly, or did it take a little bit of time?
Took me a bit of time, yeah. Well, it took me, I think, about 32 minutes, to be honest, and I got scored on my debut.
You idiot! He took me a bit.
I was actually the opposite of that, Alan. Particularly when I made my Barcelona debut, and the pressure was really on, and I didn't score until 2 minutes in of my first game.
You two are horrible.
You've set us up a beauty there, Micah.
No, in all honesty, it varied a little bit, and I did, and then I scored another after 20 minutes with Barcelona, and that's the one time I think I ever did start quickly, because when I went to Everton, I was getting pelters off the fans. It was even when they read the team sheet out, Everton on the first home game.
Well, on the tannoy? Was it on the tannoy back then?
Yeah, on the tannoy when you're out warming up.
And number 10, Gary Lineker!
Boo! I got like a load of boos from the home fans.
Why?
Because I replaced Andy Gray, and they loved Andy Gray at Everton, and I came in. I have to say it wasn't all Evertonians. It was kind of minority, but it was slightly disconcerting. I have to say, every player got cheered except for me, and then it was the fourth game before I scored, which I think was away at Tottenham, and I was starting to, the Liverpool echo, all the letters were about me. Why have we wasted this money on this kid? He's no good. We shouldn't have sold Andy Gray and all this, blah, blah, blah. So it was a really, really tough start. And then from getting all this stick, I then scored the only goal at Tottenham. And then I scored a hat-trick, and then I scored 2, and within a week I was then the top scorer in the old First Division. So it just shows you how quick. And it was the same. I think when I went to Tottenham, I didn't score until my 5th game. So that's not actually a long time, is it really, in terms of settling into a football club? But when you're a striker and you cost a few quid, the expectancy is quite high.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well done, Micah. You set us up, both of us, perfectly then.
Micah Beardsley Richards, we should call him. I suppose we're coming towards the window. We were talking about Osimhen in the first half of the show, and the possibility that he could join a Premier League club. You've also got Ivan Toney coming back in, I think, mid-January or so, and there's been a lot of speculation about him, and in particular Arsenal. Would that be a good fit?
I think, and I think, it's been coming from Brentford themselves, hasn't it? It's been coming from Thomas Frank. He's been saying it. So my guess is that, yes, he's going to be up for sale, and they're just sowing the seeds now and seeing how it's feeling the waters, if you like, and seeing how it's going. So he would be a good player for a top club, because he'll always get goals and always be a threat. Do we think, though, talking to two strikers here, like the way that, say if he was to go to somewhere like an Arsenal, is he, I'm not saying he's not mobile, but is he mobile enough for how fluid they want their front three to be? Would he be not suited to somewhere like a Chelsea, where they need and sort of play that way with a target man a little bit?
It's a good question, and the truth is, unless it happens, we won't know. But he would be very different as player for Arsenal to have in terms of what they've already got, and maybe they would think of it as having an alternative if things are not working. I don't know, because he's not what you would, he's very different, isn't he, to Nketiah?
He's like a target man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's more of a target. I mean, he has got, decent technique. We know that. We've seen him in all sorts of games. He's got an all-round game. It's whether Arsenal really like to play the high energetic press and stuff like that. Can he do that kind of thing? Because obviously Brentford primarily are a bit more of a counter-attacking side, set pieces, stuff like that.
And as we know, there'll be a few flying around, the rumours, but it's starting now and we're starting them, and we'll probably carry them on as well.
Yeah. I suppose, now that Osimhen will probably be available, he'll cost a lot more money, but he'll be very sought after, won't he?
Yeah. They are actually quite similar. A lot of people would say, well, Tony's tried and trusted within the Premier League in a team which have struggled at times, and he still scored goals. So would you take a risk on that? But Osimhen's done it in the Champions League. I remember last year he was out for the first leg. Had he been of was it the quarters or the semi? It's quarters, I think it was. He was out for the first leg, and he came back and scored for the second leg.
He's also very mobile and quick.
And that is the thing. It all depends on, because now tactics have always been tactics, and I will never disrespect the old generation, but the old generation.
Well, thanks, Micah.
No, but but it used to be 4-4-2, quick wingers. You had a big striker and a small one, or good move, whatever that. Now it's so like technical, where if they've not got one thing in their game, like say he doesn't press like by, I don't know, 10% of his pressing is down, the manager won't look at him. So it's going to be excited to see where they both end up.
Not all teams played 4-4-2 all the while back in the day, Micah.
What was it? What were they playing?
In England, that would probably be the case. Elsewhere, there was lots of different tactics, and it's always been, there was big pressing back then, there was building up from the back, although in England that wasn't always possible, because obviously the reason the game has changed mostly is because of the playing surfaces now are perfect. You imagine playing out from the goalkeeper like they do now, Alan, on some of the pitches that we played in. God blimey, there'd be some mistakes. Lots of good games to look forward to on Saturday, and we talked about Spurs Liverpool, and the way those two teams are going, you've got to expect a few goals in that one for us in the late kickoff.
I think there will be goals, from both teams. Both love to attack, and Tottenham have had a great start, scoring goals, entertaining. So it should be a cracking game, shouldn't it? Plenty for us to talk about.
Don't jinx it, Al. Anyway. That's what happens when you say there's going to be a great game on Match of the Day. It ends up being a 0-0. I've got to listen to you talk about how much you love Newcastle. But yes, it should be a great game. I can't wait. Ange Ball is in full effect. How good is Ange? I'm so looking forward to. I just love him as a human, and I love the way he plays football. But also, Liverpool are back. Rock and roll football. We should get some goals anyway.
I think so. Obviously, I met Ange, didn't I, a week or so ago, and he's man of the moment, isn't he? Really, the way things are going. But you know what football's like. You lose two on the bounce, and you're in crisis. And is this the right man for the job? I mean, it's a dreadful profession being a manager. I mean, obviously it pays very well, but I mean, God blimey, it's difficult.
I think he'll get a little bit of leeway because he's a nice guy, though, and because he's open to the media. I think media only turn on you really is when you don't want to give him anything. Like, when you listen to his interviews, you could literally take so much out of the interview. Like, it's brilliant. He gives you like little things like to think about and to digest. So the media love him. But yes, I agree, it can change at any time.
At the other end of the table is Everton against Luton.
Yeah, but Everton got a good result, didn't they? Two good results. One in the cup and of course, last weekend, Brentford, I think it was, wasn't it? They beat, and Luton's still looking for their first win. So that is a massive game for different reasons for both clubs. Yeah,
too early, really, isn't it, to say this is a 6 points relegation clash? Or is this a bit unfair?
It's not too early, but you want your 3 points, don't you? You want your 3 points early doors. I mean, if Luton were to lose this. I mean, they lost in the cup, didn't they? It's just a bad week, isn't it? You know, you always, when we was in a bad rut at Aston Villa, and we'd lose a few games, like, you used to look at, we need to get 3 points here, otherwise we're struggling, or you're looking 2 weeks, you're looking where you can pick up points and all that sort of stuff, though. You just don't need that. So if they can get some points on the board, it'll just give them a little bit of that glimmer of hope.
Alan, you looking forward to being in the same room as Micah and myself tomorrow? Both of us have had COVID this week.
No, thank you. Sit at the other side of the room, the both of you. I don't care whether you're clear now or not. I won't be coming anywhere near the both of you.
Well, I'm hoping to be clear. Yep, I'll buy that.
Last round of golf today, and then back home, and then see you guys Saturday.
Bit of Ryder Cup to watch on Friday, and we'll try and concentrate on the football on Saturday as well.
That's going to be amazing, the Ryder Cup, isn't it? I'm so looking forward to watching that.
What is the Ryder Cup for us non-golf?
Shut up, Micah. Stop asking stupid questions.
For us non-golf fans, come on.
It's Europe against the USA. 3 days. And Alan, if he plays well enough this afternoon in his golf, and we're doing this on the Thursday, if Alan plays well enough in his golf, he's hoping for a late call-up from Luke Donald.
Oh, really?
Could you imagine being on that first tee, Alan?
No, I couldn't.
I played in the Pro-Am about 8 or 9 years ago at Wentworth, the BMW Pro-Am, and I was on the putting green. I was playing with Lee Westwood and Anton Deck, and I got there about 2 hours earlier. So I texted the boys, Anton Deck. There were thousands lining the fairway, thousands around the tee box. So I texted them, but I said, by the way, guys, if I was you, I would not be wearing white trousers. There's about 15 or 20 deep right down the fairway. Oh dear!
So we get on the putting green, and I can feel the colour draining out of me. I'm getting that nervous. Never get nervous ever. No. Lee Westwood looks at me and he goes, "Are you all right, Al?" I said, "No, I'm absolutely hitting myself. I've never felt like this in my life."
It's really different golf. It's really different.
So we get onto the first tee box, and the announcer's former world number 1, Lee Westwood, and he puts it down and he smacks it straight down the middle. And I walk onto my tee box, and they announce me on the tee box. You get a huge round of applause. I couldn't get my fucking ball on the tee. My hand was shaking that much. Honestly, I was thinking, why? What is happening here? And I stood behind the ball, and I thought, my tee's too high. I'd never have it that high. But I thought, I can't go back down because it took me 30 seconds to get the ball on the tee. And I just looked up to the skies and I said, if there's anyone watching me, please let me hit. I don't care how I play. I just want to hit one good shot and get me off this tee box quickly. Thankfully, it was all right. It went down the left-hand side, just a yard off the fairway. I hit it all right, but my God, nerves! I've never had it like it that before. It's mad.
Golf can do that.
So you can imagine how those boys are feeling. Yeah. First tee box on the Ryder Cup. Wow.
Yeah. I played in a Pro-Am. I was lucky enough to play with Sevi Ballesteros.
Wow.
Who's that?
Back in the day. Who's that?
Oh my God!
Deary
what
me.
on earth have you just said?
5-time major winner. Absolute hero of many a Ryder Cup, Micah. Spanish player, a brilliant personality. Sadly lost his life a few years ago. And I played with him, and we'd played about 6 holes, and my brother was caddying for me because he wanted to meet Sevi as well. So we get to about the 10th hole, and it's a par 3, and I hit the ball, and I hit it right into a bunker. And Sevi didn't hit a very good shot and actually finished just short of the bunker that I was in. So anyway, we get down to there, and I, even though his was short of the bunker, I was slightly further from the flag, so it was my shot first. So I go in, hit a bunker shot, managed to get it out okay. Wasn't a great shot, but didn't matter anyway. And I walked out the bunker. My brother, who could be a bit cocky at times, he goes, "Oh, so you want me to rake the bunker for you, do you?" I said, "Well, you know, you are the caddy." And he was like playing, and we had a big gallery there following us around. So, and he was playing to the crowd, and as he started to walk into the bunker, and he was giving it all this, he's superstar now, me raking the bunker. He accidentally kicked Sevi's ball into the bunker.
No way! Oh my God!
Sevi just killed him. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
No.
Anyway, that's it from this week on The Rest Is Golf. We wish Europe all the very best in the Ryder Cup. Alan and myself will certainly be watching. From the sounds of it, Micah probably won't. But I'll see you both on Match of the Day on Saturday. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Cheers.